Today, I want to talk about the use of artificial intelligence in project and program management and propose a maturity model based on different ways that AI and project management can interact. For a quick introduction, the context for today is you can't read anything online, LinkedIn, the news, without the AI coming into the story. Right? It's transformed many industries. There's lots of articles about efficiencies and automation and innovation that comes with AI. And the integration of it within businesses is accelerating significantly. And what that means for those of us in the project management field is that there are going to be significant impacts on the way we do our work, our practices, and our methodologies. So today I'm going to talk about a few things, explore the potential of how AI can enhance our processes, absolutely improving accuracy, speed, and productivity, talk about the ways that AI can assist us in the tasks that we do during the day, and then again, I'll propose a maturity model, the way I see AI evolving over time, and it's a pretty rapid evolution. So before I get into most people know it, but it's probably worth grounding. What are these concepts? Artificial intelligence is the technology that enables computers and machines to simulate human learning, comprehension, problem solving, and so on. And it's evolved a lot in the last few years from sort of machine learning and RPA to actual artificial intelligence, that it thinks for itself. We talk about generative AI in that it generates content. It creates content that didn't exist before it got the information. So it's not just a rules engine, it actually generates new content. Behind the model is what's called a large language model, LLM, and it uses this kind of learning to essentially create the type of language that you receive back. A corpus is the body of information that's used. So if you think about it, it's the food for the AI system. And there's a couple of different types of AI systems in business today. First, there's a knowledge assistant, which is really just a tool that you ask it questions and then it gives you responses back. And most of ChatGPT, you're asking, hey, how many World Series did the Yankees win, or what's the weather going to be like in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and it gives you an answer back. That's a knowledge assistant, as opposed to an agent, which performs actual actions. It takes tasks and it does stuff. And this is really where the impact to business is going to be the greatest, in that as we start putting agents in everything that we do, that's where the benefits and the efficiencies come in. And then there's the concept of human in the loop, which is those of us that are practitioners are actively participate in the decision making. So it's not just AI generates something and we hand it off. We have to actually look at it. And there was a recent example where Deloitte in Australia owed a lot of money back because they generated a report and nobody looked at it, and it had false information and references that didn't exist. I should have put hallucination on this page as well, because that's when the AI creates something that didn't necessarily exist. Somebody in the media, and I forgot who, essentially said AI can do anything but say no. And so when you ask it something, it's going to give you an answer, but without that human in the loop validating the answer, you run into a risk, or a very expensive one in the case of Deloitte Australia. So, something to think about is, how are we using AI in our projects or programs? And I don't know if any of you watching this have uses, but I've seen things like certainly transcripts in meetings and taking notes. I think that's the basic stuff. But I've tried to create agents that update my risk log based on transcription. The program that I'm currently running has 7 different status reports, so we use AI to summarize information from our authoritative source of status and risks and issues, and it generates these various reports. And then again, I have the PMs update it and do that kind of human in the loop, but now they're not writing 7 reports. And so, think about the best way that you use AI as a project manager. So here's the maturity model I talked about. And the way I think about it is from left to right is starting with information and then ultimately moving to action. And I've sort of introduced these concepts at first, and I think the most basic is that knowledge assistant. And I'll give examples of each of these, but that is, again, asking for information and getting back a response. And then as we move up, we're going to have more focused agents that take specific actions. And then I actually think we're sort of in between the focused agents and this third part is I'm convinced that you're going to see all these project management platforms and tools having AI embedded in every piece of them. And you're seeing it now with the big ERP systems, Salesforce with Agentforce, SAP, Oracle, they're all including AI in their solutions. And then ultimately, and I don't think we're more than a year away from this, we're going to have PM colleagues. We're going to have AI colleagues that are part of our PMO teams. And by the way, I love this AI generated picture because you can see the random set of feet that are sort of coming out from the bottom of the table. So this is an example where human in the loop would have caught the random feet. I just thought it was a fantastic picture, so I put it in here. So let's go into the knowledge assistant. As I mentioned, this is really where AI is used to retrieve project-related information on demand. You give it a specific request and you get an answer back. And it acts as that intelligent search information, whether it's summarizing documents or answering questions. And it's not actively making decisions, it's just providing information so that we as PMs can synthesize it back. And how does it do it? It can retrieve project documents, meetings, and notes. And again, depending on what the corpus is, so a lot of companies will buy a private version of AI, one of the LLM models, and then they'll point it to all their project information on SharePoint or Teams or whatever. And you could search the information. You could say, give me the latest status report. Copilot is neat. In email, you can ask it, show me an email that this person sent or that has this kind of title in it, and it'll bring it back. It's really good at summarizing information, especially those of you who like to write really long status reports. It's great for summarizing information into more succinct and executive type views. And then it can extract insights, have it look at your statuses or risks or issues and sort of summarize it up. A few examples. PM can use AI to pull historical timelines, right? You can say, hey, I have a project that looks like this. How long should my project be? Or summarize a 50-page report, right? All of us get those, and they're incredibly long. And you can get the executive summary, or it can look at budget or extract the risks. So I think you get the idea. The knowledge assistant, you ask it a question, it gives you information back. You can have it summarize things. That's the most basic. All of you should be able to do this today, depending on what tools your company have bought. But this is pretty much the base model. As I mentioned, agents are more agentic. They're more action focused in that they integrate into specific processes. And generally, it's a very targeted and specialized request. So, for example, there could be an agent that well, here, I'll give the examples in a second. So I mentioned it takes specific actions, it analyzes that structured information, and it can even provide some insights or maybe recommendations. So an example is maybe there's an agent that you point to your schedule, and it can point out when there's slippage on a particular task, or it analyzes communications and sends you back something that says, hey, here's a risk. Or you can have a resource management agent that allocates resource assignments and balances the workloads. Or even agents that generate emails based on status reports. You can have an agent that goes out and creates the status reports based on a bunch of insights. So you can see I'm not just asking it a question, I'm actually assigning it a specific and a targeted task, and it does that task and completes it, and then it's done. Right, so that's sort of the next level of AI maturity, which takes us to the third point, which is embedding it in our tools and workflow, where it's deeply integrated into our platforms, and it's sort of actively participating in how we do our work, and even in sort of orchestrating work within our projects. And it's a core part of the toolkit, right? Because it dynamically interacts with the entire workflow. So it could be used to monitor project activities and detect patterns or deviations. So maybe the budget has been trending down, and so it highlights something. It guides the project managers about scheduling and resources. So maybe as you add tasks in there, it points out, hey, you don't have enough resources to complete this task, and provide you some insights. And it would suggest actions or correlations. So some examples, as I mentioned, it updates the roadmap. So maybe it learns that, hey, you've added some scope or something's extending, and it changes, the whole dynamic between resources and schedule and cost. Maybe it extends the schedule, increases the cost, and assigns 2 more resources. Or, with Agile, right? It may be on Agile delivery, and it could suggest plans. So you can see here it's integrated and it's woven into the tools that we work in, but it's still sort of giving information back to the PM or adjusting things for the PM. But then we get to the final level where it's actually a virtual colleague, right? It's part of our team and it interacts with the team ourselves. It contributes to decision making. Maybe it oversees the portfolio and it works collaboratively with PMs rather than just a particular tool or a particular ask. It is a member of our team. And so it synthesizes the various information. It provides advice on prioritization, maybe balancing portfolios, and coordinates work across teams and stakeholders. So I could see a scenario where schedule things are past due and it recognizes it and it reaches out to a PM and says, this thing is past due. What do you want me to do? Should I extend the schedule? Should I turn the project red? And it's more sort of interactive. And some examples, right? Maybe it's even part of the meetings. Maybe it moderates the meetings and interacts with you as you're having the meeting. So I don't know if you've heard of Copilot Facilitator, but a lot of these tools now, Microsoft, will facilitate, you can interact with it during the meeting. It'll tell you if you're going over, or it can take actions or things like that. So this virtual agent is part of your team and interacting with you. It performs the reviews, it takes actions, it updates things, and so on. And it's going to be part of your team. So a couple things to think about, with AI coming in. First is data quality and availability. As I started with, data is the food of AI. And if your project information is bad, then none of these tools work properly. So the fundamental premise is that we're maintaining the project information, that it's updated, it's accurate. Otherwise, none of this works. So it still comes down to being diligent with the work that we're doing. Context and judgment limitations is that AI still can't necessarily make decisions the way that an experienced PM can. And so we have to recognize that and figure out where the right balance is. Adoption is going to be a big challenge, especially if there's virtual PMO colleagues. And are people going to accept sort of working with AI and not be afraid of losing their job and so on? So I think the whole change management concept and embracing this is going to be difficult. And then the skill set for PM roles is going to evolve. And I think that's a good thing because right now PMs spend a significant amount of time on what's probably viewed as administrative work, updating documents and risk logs. And I will tell you, based on 30 years of experience, PMs are really bad at this. They want to spend time interacting with stakeholders and driving things and not maintaining documents. And therefore, back to the first bullet point, documents are always outdated and there's always risks past due and issues past due and people who don't maintain content because they want to work on more impactful things. Well, AI can help us with that and thus sort of collaboratively with AI improve our probability of success. So look, a couple things to think about. Hopefully this is helpful. AI is advancing at an incredible pace, and I have no doubt it will affect every aspect of business. And as professionals, we have to embrace it. We have to be the ones on the forefront, first as an assistant and then ultimately as a member of our team. And there's lots of things we need to think about. But again, if we leverage it properly, our techniques and outcomes should be way more effective. So this was just sort of a quick overview, some initial thoughts. Put your comments in. I'm definitely curious about what you think about the maturity model, what you think about some of the concepts in here, and how you're seeing AI being used on your programs. And thanks for watching.